Hi, everybody. It's Georgia Rose, your psychic astrologer, and I am back. This video is about the new moon in Gemini occurring on the east coast of the United States on Sunday evening at 10:54. But depending on where you live, it could be on the 14th or 15th of June, so either Sunday or Monday. So check your local thing. So, new moon in Gemini, this is a little bit of a weird, complicated one, only because it's Gemini energy. And Gemini energy is all about duality, multiplicity. And of all the signs that I studied in the zodiac, Gemini and also Pisces kind of, but mostly Gemini has always been the most confusing one for me. And it shouldn't be because it's really easy to understand. Gemini energy is an energy that, yes, it's about multiplicity and duality and two things, two different things. A lot of times, Gemini people or people who are Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, get a really bad rap because people say, oh, they're two-faced. The sign of Gemini is the twins, right? But actually, it's curiosity. It's not confusion. It is typically Gemini energy makes us curious about something wherever it is in your chart, depending on the house and other planets that are aligned with it. But Geminis aren't two-faced. They just are dealing with a lot of duality. And that's going to be the energy with this new moon for all of us. Duality. Where in our lives are we kind of separating things, black, white, right, wrong, yes, no, that maybe we need to integrate. The real purpose of Gemini energy and the duality and the multiplicity it causes is actually so that we can integrate energies that are separated or not diverse or are too diverse to be integrated in our minds. Gemini is the communication, it's the way we think, it's the way we communicate with each other and also connect from a place of communication. So if we think of things in terms of black, white, right, wrong, one, two, then it's hard to integrate them. But that's our mental capacity. If we can drill down to our hearts, Jupiter is still in Cancer right now, we can learn that sometimes duality and things that we feel we're, at odds with actually want to come together. A perfect example is we have the global conflict right now with Iran and Israel and the United States, and they keep having these ceasefires and then they backfire, right? No pun intended. Well, maybe that's because each person thinks their way is right, of course, and we have all this duality. It's this way, it's that way, it's this way, it's that way. But what's really trying to happen here, what the universe is really trying to do, is integrate those energies to find a place where we can understand and live with two things can be true. We can do two things at once. We can honor two things at once, depending on them expanding love and joy in the world and not doing the opposite. So Gemini in this new moon, we have an opportunity to create new avenues of communication for ourselves and also new ways of looking at things, new perceptions, new languages, a new technology. It's not an accident that Elon Musk is, launching his IPO of SpaceX in this new moon energy. Definitely a beautiful time to do it for him. But in our own lives, drilling down to the own little corner of the world, we have an opportunity to maybe embrace technology that maybe we've put in a duality. I'm too afraid of that, or I don't think that's good. I'm not going to do it. Well, in this energy, maybe we're looking at that with a different perception and saying, how can I integrate technology into my life? How can I integrate something that I feel duality for? I'm making things right and wrong all the time, black and white in these frameworks of my life. How can I find more peace, more joy, and more love by integrating it to be simply the fact that two things can be true. Doesn't have to be right and wrong. We can agree to disagree, and we can also agree to come to a place of agreement when we find the compassion and the energy of diversity and of acceptance in our life. Gemini is also an energy of newness. It's an air sign. It likes to be refreshing. It likes to bring things into our life that maybe are a little bit shocking and sudden. It's ruled by the planet Mercury, which is the way we communicate. But all in all, that all adds up to some refreshment, right? We can be in a place in our life where we finally can breathe air and breathe deeply into areas that maybe have been a little stagnant because we've been holding on to an old way and an old perception. So someday, when this new moon comes in, you're going to see things happening around us and also in our personal lives that really emulate where we've been holding on to the old, because Gemini is going to bring in the new. And we really need to accept it and step into a place where we can find integration in this energy. We also have some other planets that are kind of working with this new moon. I'm just looking at my chart. I'm sorry. Which is really going to help us come into a place of moving forward. Jupiter in Cancer is finishing up its role in Cancer. It's headed to Leo. That's going to really change the dynamic. But for right now, while it's wrapping up that time in Cancer, we want to make sure that we're using this Gemini energy in a heart-based motivation. Cancer is our hearts. It's the place we're most vulnerable. It's our dewy, gooey centers. And with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, those dewy, gooey centers are going to be focused on where we're disempowered and where we can find empowerment by stepping into something new emerging energy. We still have Neptune and Saturn in Aries, which is that new emergence of a new way of doing things. Uranus in a beautiful air sign of Gemini is bringing us a new way to think about it, a new way to communicate it. And then, of course, Pluto in Aquarius is showing us that disempowerment, so we can bring all those factors into a new empowerment in our life. On the global front, I think you're going to see a lot of movement with US, Israel, and Iran's conflicts, maybe even the Ukraine too, as Gemini brings us further and further into a spontaneous perception of where we can make things move, where we can create some new areas that can be either volatile and violent or peaceful, but expect some movement. I know today I'm recording this on Friday, June 12th, and the headline today is that there's another ceasefire. I'm not really expecting that to last. I think that this energy has to go to a different level, not of violence, I'm not saying that, but a different level of movement. Stop doing the same old repetitive loop that we've been in. The energy has to come into a new loop of some kind in order to really come to its resolution that it has the potential for here. That being said, I think that in the next 30 days with Gemini new moon coming in, you're going to see a lot of volatility in the financial market, things mercantile, anything that has to do with the way we trade and communicate goods and commerce. You're going to see a lot of busyness, a lot of fast-moving energy. Gemini is a fast-moving energy. Today I did a astrology for business group. When I was on the call, I realized that a great way if you're in business to use this energy is to do short, quick reels, give people information, end the video with a question because Gemini is curious. So a typically great post or social media campaign for the next 30 days is using that duality. Which do you like better, this or this? Asking a question about something, playing on people's curiosity in your marketing campaigns. So that's how I would use this astrology for business. In our own life, in our soul work, in our soul growth, think about what is old in your life as far as the way you are perceiving something or the way that you communicate with something. What's grown stagnant and needs fresh air breathed into it? In Gemini, this new moon, we have an opportunity to really come into some fresh energy to change the way that we are operating, changing our own operating system, not just seeing new operating systems come into our line of view through technology. But how do you operate? How do you function? Are you still trying to function in 2026 with the old operating system, an old belief system that's maybe stale, an old way of approaching your business or your personal life, your relationships that really isn't working? And you need to kind of work on yourself a little bit to find your new operating system in this beautiful energy headed to 2027 in the next 6 months. Because 2027 changes everything. 2026 is our final cleanup, our final sweep up. So that's really all I wanted to say about the Gemini energy. I'm sticking with my own advice and keeping it short, sweet. And what I'm going to ask you, a little curious, where is it that you need to breathe some new life into something that just isn't working for you anymore? It's stagnated. You've got to think more about it in a fresh, clean, airy way. And also dropping into that beautiful Jupiter and Cancer heart. So enjoy this beautiful new moon. Expect some shakeups because that is Gemini with Uranus there. But all in all, this is so that we can integrate energy that used to be one-sided here, there, coming together in a beautiful place of community and love and expanding joy in your life. If you'd like to have a reading with me, go to zenkuda.com and book a reading. I videotape all my readings and you get that video to keep forever, so you can always refer back. I love spending time with people and reading their soul charts and finding out exactly where their destiny is. So give me a call or go on our website if you'd like to do that. And thank you so much. I'll be back with more videos in between the relaunch of the Soul Space podcast, which is going to happen the second Monday in July. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.